Good afternoon, everyone. This is Financial Literacy 101. I'm your host, Ross World. And today I'm just here to tell you you are not ready to retire. You're not. And we're going to go over the reasons why you're not ready to retire. Okay? Here's one reason why you're probably not ready to retire. Okay? And the reason why I'm listing these in a particular order, which is no order at all, is because some of them may fit in a particular order. Some of them may not fit in a particular order. But one of the reasons why you're not ready to retire is you still love your job. See, you still love to get up early, or you like to go in late, and you like to put on uncomfortable clothes, or you like to put on a uniform, and you like to go working for somebody. If you're not an entrepreneur, just a disclaimer, you're excluded from this. But you like to go in and you like to work for somebody. You like for them to tell you when to come in, how long you should stay, and these are the days you can take off, and then these days are blackout days, so you don't have really any responsibility, or you don't have any ownership, or you don't have any mind of your own, or when you want to do things when you want to do them. But you may love your job, and that's perfectly fine. I have my notes here. I'm just going over them, guys. You may love your job, so that's why you're not ready to retire. Here's another one. Here's another one why you're probably not ready to retire. Have you calculated your Social Security if you're going to get Social Security? Here's the thing. You don't come eligible for Social Security until you're 62 years of age. And then a lot of people don't understand that your full retirement age is 66, 67, where you may get that percentage of Social Security that you're actually going to need to supplement the income that you won't have. Do you know that most retirees need at least 75% of the money they were making, 75% of the money that they were making in their retirement in order to live their life? Yes, yeah, you may own your home, you may own your car, but if you're 60, you may live 20, 30, 40 years. Who knows? You don't know if you're going to live to be 100. Do you have enough money to save up? Do you have the Social Security to supplement your income? Then how much of Social Security are they actually going to give you? These are the things that you really, really need to compute. You do. See, you're not ready to retire. You're not ready to retire. And I'm here to tell you why. You're not ready to retire because if you are still having difficulties, if you are still struggling paying your current bills, you are not ready to retire. Yeah, you may have a 401k, you may have a 403b, you may have multiple IRAs, but how much money is in there and how old are you? See, right now I'm in my early 40s, and technically I have 20 years, 22 years till I hit the age of 62. But you can start drawing from your IRA and a lot of your retirements at 59 and a half. But I don't want to retire in 60. I want to retire at 55. That is my goal. I want to retire at 55. I have a buddy, he's 55. He's been retired since 45. And he's living a great life. He's in better shape than I am. He gets more rest than I am. Him and his wife goes on luscious and lavish and trips every year. Like last year, I think they went to Jamaica. They went to Vegas. They went to Hawaii. They went to St. Lucia's. They just went everywhere. And yeah, I'm envious. I'm jealous. But we have to work in order to get to that point. So, I mean, you either have to work your butt off, save your butt off, invest your butt off, create an invention and get rich quick off of that, or innovate a system, okay? Innovation with something to get rich off of, or improve something that a company that has millions of billions of dollars actually need. You're not ready to retire. You're not ready to retire if you have a high level of debt. You're not ready. How are you going to pay off your debt? See, Ross World, I like to deal in the 4 tiers of money. You heard me speaking this. If you've been on this channel for the last 3 or 4 years, you know that I love the 4 tiers of money. That's getting out of debt, creating a budget, savings, and investing, and then dealing with your credit encompass it all. You're not ready. You're not ready if you have high debt. See, my thing is people are not strategic in the way they go about with their finances. If you know that you're going to retire in 5 years, right? And you're steadfast in your job, you have a hard position in your job, because we know that jobs are not guaranteed. You could hiccup and sneeze one day and they can fire you if you're not an entrepreneur. But if you know that you can retire in 5 years, you should buy your dream car or a nice car that you can afford right now. And hopefully you buy a pre-certified so you're not paying the overhead. Because we understand that once the car is driven off the lot, it depreciates anywhere from 20 to 30%. Then I know that you're not ready to retire because with your current financial portfolio, you don't rebalance it. You set it and forget it. Yes, index funds, ETS funds, bonds. These are most likely financial inputs inside your portfolio that you can leave there for a while, but you have to go in and check on it. You know, when you have a 16-year-old or 18-year-old, right, you have teenagers in your home, they're pretty much self-sufficient if you did your job, meaning you taught them how to cook, you taught them how to properly clean. You know, the other day I was in my cabinets and I was just pulling out dirty dishes. I was like, if my aunt was here today, my aunt, and I know I'm off topic, guys. I just got to give you some of, my personal stuff. My aunt, if one dirty dish was in the cabinet, okay, or in the drawer, one fork, like one cup, she would pull all the dishes out, and I would clean every single dish. It would take me 3-4 hours. She didn't care. A greasy pan, all the dishes. And I learned how to wash dishes. I guess I'm slipping now. But if you're not rebalancing your portfolio, then you don't really care about your finances, because you have to treat your finances like a baby. You have to nurture them, okay? You have to milk them, okay? You have to take care of them just the way you would take care of a young child, or at least treat it like a teenager. Every now and again, I got to look in on you because, y'all be doing some weird stuff with all the social media challenges and things of that nature. Here's another reason why you're not ready for retirement. You're worrying about it. If you are worrying about retirement, then you are not ready for retirement, right? Because in your 20s, does anybody really think about retirement? A couple of us did, right? A couple of us. But some of us was thinking about partying, like, let me get a good job, I'm gonna get a good car, I'm gonna get a house, and then I'm just gonna party. I'm gonna have a good time. I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. You're not ready for retirement if you're worrying about it. You're not. You're not. I don't want you to plan any future expenses if you don't have a plan for retirement. See, the reason why a budget is so crucial, because it is the beginning of you creating a monthly financial plan. Yes, it's the beginning of creating a monthly financial plan, and that's dealing with RIAs, that's dealing with a budget. And you know what? Let's talk about budgets for a minute here. I popped up some budgets for you guys, and I want you guys to explain. Now, this definition is coming from Nerd Wallet. And the question is, what is zero-based budgeting? Zero-based. And this is good for a lot of you. Zero-based budgeting is a method that has you allocate all of your money to expenses, saving, and debt payments. The goal is that your income minus your expenditures equals zero by the end of the month. And then they give you an example. You know what? I'm just going to pull it over here. I ain't going to talk a hole in your head. I'm going to pull it over here so you see exactly what I see. All right. Zero-based budgeting. Look at this. So the monthly income is $3,000. And these are all, arbitrary numbers. This is a guesstimation of how much things actually cost. Of course, it's going to be different for you, but your monthly income is $3,000. I'm gonna go down the line here. Rent $1,000, groceries $375, eating out $75. Probably going to Applebee's without amount of price for a month. Bills $255. That's any sort of utility bills. Insurance $100, gas $250, clothing $75. Hopefully it's on clearance or savings. Entertainment, that's your Netflix, your Hulu, your internet, etc. Emergency fund, because you're allocating $150 to your emergency fund. Your retirement, that's your IRA or your 401k, etc. Your credit card payments, because you got to pay those down to get out of debt. Student loan payments, most of us have them. Most of us don't want them. your travel fund, which I always speak, you got to have a travel fund. You got to get out of your current state. And that's a double meaning. The state of your mind and the state in where you live, and then other 100%. That means that every dollar has a job. Every dollar has a place. Every dollar has a home. So hopefully you understand that right there. That's zero-based budgeting. Zero-based budgeting, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, that is a budget. And that's what you actually need. That's what you actually need in order to start preparing for retirement. So when you're making a budget, there's some things that you actually need to consider. Okay, figure out your after-tax income. You heard me speak this before. You need to figure out your after-tax income. Then you need to choose a budgeting plan. I just gave you a zero-based budget. Then there's the envelope budget where you have an envelope and you assign the envelope to each amount of your money. Now, whether you're doing it electronically or physically, you can still make envelopes and have maybe a little stand where you put it to remember it. That way, every time you see it, you're like, that's right. I like auto pay. Okay, auto pay. But what I do with auto pay is, I'm a tech guy, so I love things electronically, but I like auto pay. And then I'll have a reminder on my Google Calendar that that bill was auto paid. And then what I do, I either wait for the notification or I make sure that it was paid. Like my T-Mobile bill just got paid. And then a couple of days ago, my Comcast bill got paid. So I get the notifications, boom, check, reminder, got the note, paid. That's the way I do mine, okay? But that is the type of budget that I have. Then when you have your budget, you need to track your progress. See, you don't just make a budget and you set it and you forget it. You don't do that. Once you make your budget, after tax income, now what budget plan do I need? Then you create, no, of course you're going to put down your expenses, okay? I didn't forget that. After tax income, your expenses, what we just went over with the zero base, what budgeting plan you're going to get. Then you need to track your progress throughout the budget. Because if you're not accounting throughout the month, then you don't have a budget. You just wrote some stuff down like, yeah, I make this much a month. I got $4,000 and I'm going to sign this to the internet and food and car and rent and mortgage. But you're not tracking it. It's not tracking. Trust but verify. We understand that trust but verify is a Russian proverb. Okay, it came from Russia. Trust but verify. Automate your savings. Have things come out automatically. This is a very good method that I use. I am Rossworld and I approve this message. Yes, automate your savings, but make sure you're still tracking it. Then you need to revisit your budget as needed because every month your budget may change. Your budgets may change. You see, you ever heard of the 50, 30, 20 budget? The 50, 30, 20 budget? So what they have right here is what is your amount of money after tax? And then you have your necessities, your wants, your needs, saving, and paying off debt. I'm just giving you I can't go over all the budgets because there's too many budgets to basically go over. But 50% of your budget could be groceries, housing, basic utilities, transportation, insurance, and minimum loan payments. 30% of your income could be wants, not needs, wants. And then 20% of your budget is savings and debt repayment. You see how that's flipped? Do you think that's the way you should allocate your finances, where your wants are 30% and your income, savings, and debt is 20%? That's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So let me finish. If you don't have a plan for retirement and all these inputs I'm getting you, then I want you to ask yourself this question. I don't want to tell you where you're going to be. If you're not ready mentally for retirement and start doing the things that I'm actually advising you on, then you're not going to be ready because you have no idea the financial state that your finances are in. You don't even have a plan. You don't even have a budget. I gave you a budget. Do something with it. Here's another thing that you have to account for, because a lot of us don't look at the details. We don't look at the little things. So I'm here to tell you one of the little things that you definitely need to look at, because I say this and it rolls up between this year and last year. Inflation. Inflation is now a whopping 3%. It used to vary from 1.8 to 2.1%, but now inflation has risen to 3%. And some of you are like, inflation, like, why do I care about that? You should care about that, because we need to understand, if you took $100, right? I got my fake money over here. Got my fake money. Like one of them YouTube ballers, they show you all their money. If you have $100, if you have $100, right, and you go out and you buy bags of groceries, inflation, you have to do the math. You have to take 3% away from the amount that you paid, that $100 from last year to this year, and that will let you know the amount that inflation have rose. But it also takes away from the amount of groceries you can spend. But that goes along with anything. Inflation affects all markets: clothing market, food market, car market. Then you have to wait for those special holidays to get those discounts. So inflation it doesn't hurt you as much, but you have to account for inflation. So here's another way, here's another trick, here's another way that you can actually combat inflation. The way that you combat inflation are tips. Anybody know what tips are? And I don't mean like go around peddling, trying to get a tip jar, or you're a waitress or a waiter and you get a tip. No, tips. Treasury inflation protected securities. Treasure inflated protected securities. Tips. So this is coming from investopedia.com, this definition. Okay. What are tips? Treasury inflation protected security is a treasury bond that is indexed to inflation to protect investors from the negative effects of rising prices. The principal value of tip rises as inflation rises. Inflation is the pace at which prices increase throughout the U.S. economy as measured by the Consumer Price Index, or CPI. Rising prices. This goes against all markets. So are you protected against inflation? That is the question. That is the question. Here are some other reasons why you are not ready for retirement. And I said this before. Debt. See, a lot of us don't understand how debt can hurt us. Now, there are positive ways to turn debt into cash flow, into cash, and I will advise you to go over to the Rich Dad channel and listen to some of his methodologies on how to use debt. But he's not talking about credit card debt, car debt, house debt. He's talking about business debt and using that to buy property and houses, etc., and rent those things out or flip those things in a certain manner with real estate. You guys are not ready. I don't know if you think you're ready for retirement or not, but a lot of us don't really worry about retirement, and we should, because we're simply not ready. Because if you're struggling to pay your current bills, then I know you're worried about retirement because you haven't started it yet. What can you do to start preparing yourself for retirement? First thing you need to do, the very first thing you need to do is create a budget. You can Google how to create a budget and get a budget worksheet, or you can download a budget app on your phone. One off the top of my head, which I don't use anymore, is Mint. or I have my email in the description of this video, and you can request a budget worksheet. I think I downloaded one from Nerd Wallet, or you can take good old fashioned pen and paper, and you write down, you look at your pay stub, you write down the money that you normally receive, before allotments, but after taxes. Before allotments, after taxes, okay? The money that you have coming in. And then you write down all your expenses, right? Some of them are exact, and some of them will be guesstimations. And you write in that information, then you will see how much you have left. Then, if you are contributing to your 401k, or you have IRAs, and you have emergency fund, you need to start setting yourself up for success and not failure. Because you ever seen people at Walmart or just any retail store? I'm not going off on Walmart, but any retail store where the people are elderly, and the first thing you're thinking is they are just doing this for fun. They don't really need this job. Let me tell you, there are a lot of baby boomers in their late 60s, early 70s that are still working because they have to work. They have to work. There's a lot of baby boomers, okay? A lot of senior citizens who are working because they have to work, because they did not set themselves up for success. Now, the baby boomers, those senior citizens that you see with those huge Winnebagos or those cruise liners that they call trucks, right? And you're like, golly, and they're pulling their car, and you see them up and down the East and West Coast. Those people set themselves up for success. They're just traveling, having a great time. Or you went on vacation and you see other Americans or other seniors from other countries just having a great time. They set themselves up for success. Now, quite frankly, if you are between the age of 20 and 40, you are in great shape. You are in great shape because even if you're 40, you still have 20 years, before statistically your body really start breaking down, unless you take care of it, okay? Working out, eating right, taking some herbal supplements, etc. Then you'll be in great shape. So take heed to what I'm saying. See, let me tell you what wisdom is. I'll tell you what wisdom is, in my opinion. This is one of my definitions of what wisdom is. And then I will try to explain how you gain wisdom. Wisdom is listening to other people who is going through it or who have been through it. Those people speak wisdom. See, fools are people who try to tell you something who don't know anybody who went through it, or they haven't been through it themselves and they're trying to tell you what they think. Now, if they're intelligent, there are some disclaimers, I know, but I'm just trying to give you, like, if I know somebody who's done this plan, and I know other people who've done this plan and it's worked, that's wisdom. I need to listen to that. Now, how do you obtain wisdom? I just told you. You go through it or you've been through it. Now you have the wisdom to give to other people and say, I wouldn't do that if I was you. Or have you started your emergency fund? Do you have at least $10,000? Do you have 3 to 6 months of all your expenses, your mortgage, your rent, your utilities, etc.? Have you started contributing to investments? Are you investing in anything? Wisdom, use it. So here's the thing. There's a lot of people who's going to be for your bad when you start getting your finances in order. You may lose friends when you get your finances in order. But the difference between you and them will be, you will be ready for retirement and they won't. Because a lot of times, I know in certain communities, we worry about dying before we worry about retirement. But what happens if you get old? What happens if you live long enough to retire? So my proposal would be, set yourself up for success. Make sure you list beneficiaries. make sure you have a will or a trust. So even if in your untimely demise, your death, then your descendants, your kids, your family will get that amount of money. And granted, I know we don't all like everybody of our family, then give it to the family member you like the most. All right. That's my message for today. I'm gonna read some notes. I think I have one here. Carlos, I'm just gonna call you Carlos. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your last name. Carlos says, what is balancing the portfolio and how you do the balancing? Your portfolio changes and fluctuate month to month, and quite frankly, day to day, depending on the stock market, depending on how much money you have in your stocks, depending on how much money you are saving in a certain account. I've talked about high yield savings before, where I just changed my bank not too long ago because the bank that I was in was called Banesco USA, and they decreased the amount of the savings interest from like 2.47 to like 1.9 or something like that. Then I changed it to Sterling Bank, one of their subdivisions called Brio Direct, because they was over 2%. I try to keep my savings over 2%, closest to inflation that I can, so I'm not losing that much money on my money every year. When rebalancing your portfolio, these are some of the things like keeping your money in a high yield savings account 2% and above, rebalancing the stocks and the shares and or index and ETFs to make sure they are gaining or they're maintaining the amount of percentage, whether it be 7 or 10%. I tell people, we are not in a recession and we're not in a depression, then you should look for index and ETF funds that give you 7 and above interest rate on your return. This is how you're balancing your portfolio so it doesn't dip. Now, when it comes to index and ETF funds, I will look at those things every month. You don't want to mess around with that because every time you move around, you sell, you rebuy, you're creating capital gains, which generates taxes. That's why you will never hear me tell you should go into mutual funds, because mutual funds, if you read the book Unshakable by Tony Robinson, you will understand that mutual funds have a lot of hidden fees. One of the fees that are not hidden is taxes because they are actively managed. That means there is a broker who gets commission off of changing stocks within a fund. And every time he makes a transaction, he creates taxes. Every transaction create taxes. And then you will receive forms at the end of the year. They most likely are your 1099 DIV, and you will have to claim that and pay for that in taxes. So that is essentially, in a nutshell, how you rebalance your portfolio. Also, Carlos says, what is the best place to open a Roth IRA? Just know a bank is not the best place. A Roth IRA, I'll tell you this. There's a site called America's Best 401k. That's America's Best 401k. Now, we understand that a 401k is just like an IRA, right? Roth, of course, Roth. So I will Google search America's Best 401k, and all through the site, they tell you about transparency. They tell you about low fees. That's because this is one of the few entities that actually uses index funds to generate their wealth to their customers and not mutual funds. So that's why it's low fees, because we understand when it comes to index funds, ETFs, you're paying expense ratios. Okay, you're paying expense ratios, which are very, very low, and 99% of the time they're less than 1%. They're less than 1%. Okay, so hopefully, I gave you some good information that you can go off of. But before we get out of here, I thought I was gonna show you guys something really quickly. If you just will stay with me. I do not know how to do this. Here we go. Here we go. All right, now of course I've been trying to sell some t-shirts here, guys. I haven't really looked at the sales, but I do want to show you some new designs that me and my partner came up with. Okay. Here are the new designs. This is the back of one of the shirts. This is all the things that I absolutely preach, okay? This is all the things that I absolutely preach. So that's the side hustle from the back, and this one is the front. My money makes money with the side hustle in the back, okay? With the side hustle in the back. Then you have Flip It, because if you're going to go to college, right? These are basic shirts, guys. College, but on the back, I'm preaching Clip It with the Raw's World logo in the center part of the neck, okay? And I'm going to show you what the Raw's World logo looks after I get past these t-shirts. Also, Financial Literacy 101. Financial Literacy 101. This is going to draw people to you because they're going to think that you know your stuff, and you should. If you have been doing the things that I've asked of you, you will know your stuff. And here's the back of Financial Literacy 101. Earn, save, invest, learn money, and be inspired. That's one of my slogans. My money makes money. Learn money and be inspired. Then you have the huge Raw's World logo, and this is the official logo of Raw's World. This right here is the official logo of Raw's World. You have the purple backing. You have the R and W encompassing each other. Then you have the orange and red global accents, the global accents. Then you have Raw's World, and underneath you have learn money, be inspired. Learn money, be inspired. Okay? So you got side hustle. My money makes money is the front of that shirt. Okay? Then you have Flip It, but this is a collared shirt from the front. Going the wrong way, guys. Flip It. And then you have the back of Financial Literacy 101, and that is the front of the shirt. Okay. I got to close a lot of windows now. All right. Okay, guys. That's it for me today. Oh, and you're welcome, Carlos. You are welcome. Do you know Spanish? Then I would say de nada. Anyway, guys, I'm going to get out of here. Thank you for your time and your patience. But some things I will want you to do on the way out. I want you to calculate your expenses. I want you to determine your income. I want you to set payoff goals. And I want you to track your process. And most important of all, I want you to be realistic when you're making your list. Don't lowball yourself. I'd rather you highball yourself with your expenses than lowball yourself. Be realistic, create your budget. That way, you can be ready for retirement. This is Financial Literacy 101. I want you to learn money and be inspired because my money makes money, and hopefully yours do too. The link is in the description for the t-shirt and all sorts of financial information, as well as my email if you want to contact me. I'm out.